Ikea yuxatini, chtakat yuhan. Wasach to was a goosh kanach kekach to the adi, gaha yuxatangi dat. Ye awa shukwa aya ach to was a good dat you tuch the tani, kayuch the tani. Kaayistaan. Konachoe ha eat with the she. Ye awa to was a good to hit the ye aya, get yuxatangi a ye wuti. Kechwas a coon was a do a sock we heen claim. Ak kwan ani cook sit a dach aya we do. Ak sit. Ye oe ach I outle tu was a do a sago at. A da ye yeti we sit you do a sago. A dachawe ko a kausacha. Wooch I llwch o heen. Kerchuk a kach dush heat. Wooch I llwch o heen. Kaayistaan oe awa ach duch eich. Was a do a sago. Cecilia Coons. Awe Kartaku hin Wuchitluch hin Yikde Aya Yakanadane. Kawitatsu Ich Gunt hin. You do a song. Ich Gunt hin. We Chosaku. Kekachinach Slew. Hin Chosaku. Kekachinach River. Water. Gut ko'at kechosaku. Ha'ina kawanik. Yachayego ginki yadayi hin when nadayi hin tak. Teach konachwe has to tuosaku. Tak. Gut adehas kauduok. Ajoy jilkat ayehas wuti. Kokahadis. Ka wait atsu. Atlench ak aya yisatin. Kokahadis. Ajoy we teach. Hin yichas kauduok ak. Kauduok ak. Awe stukka khattati. Aki do a sak we just a cut yak. We play na khat like kat to side just a cut yek. To test cook was awe ta shui do a sago at guksa we yende kinyak. At the yende kin ka wujakak. Awe tuck yes. Ha inch na stigen. Kaayistaan. What we schoon claim, talk, koneyak with shukwa you tank to eat. Ka tutsu sekuni, ka sekuni, de tla, de sai kok, katrakik, yachte tan, shaw. Hukko a wushki tan. We tooth claim, ag claim. Cajun, Kaika talk a yawadlak, aka awe hanakugu. The joyach was a good to that you took the tan. Konachwe wook a do in your the tanen. Cling it the way aus, I was cool. A cow arc to Gone do Renach away your ewatani. Was I okay, was I yakutsagi, shawat, was I took la on. Yet I can teach a hate is a achi, teach. It was a guess a good yatani, cling it Renach. Hekwake. Okay, we had a couple questions before we start. Oh, what was I talking about? Just general?
Oh, I knew that you were talking about various streams here. It's like Eight Good Clean and Octoxetine and River Bend, which I forgot the name for.
Krachtakuhin and Wuchi Kluchuhin.
Kachtaguhin, Wuchi Kluchuhin.
Chachtiquhin is a smaller one that cuts this way, and Wuchitluhin is the big one that comes from the glacier.
You were talking about working with Kaayistaan, Marie Olson.
Marie Olson passed away the other day. What's that? She did. So I just wanted to think about her. She, every year since I started here, and probably well before that, she would be the first person to talk whenever the faculty would all get together to kick off the academic year. And she was great, so smart, so kind. She was funny. And she's the reason I know the name of this big river over here, Wuchitluhin. No one else that I know said it. I know there's two names for the glacier, but she was telling me. ʼatudli.átk was what she learned from Cecilia Kunz. Kashui is where the airport area is. And then she was explaining ʼeich gudlin. Gudlin. I was going to put an N in there. ʼeich gudlin. ʼeich gudlin. So ʼeich is a slough. Ye owe gulchish kiksa dieti kawushkitan. Ye owe. And Heen is a river, but gut. Someone has to tell me what this is in English. It's not a hot spring, but it's a warm thermal bed at the bottom of a river, which the dog salmon really like in the November time, which is why they run over here and at Chilkat. If you didn't know better, you say eagles are always there because the dump, but they're also there for the dog salmon. But I just want to acknowledge her life and her work. She made it to 100. She was way cool. Sat in her kitchen and she taught me those names, which is really important. Oh, Conchish. No way I dropped the paper in the chat. Thoughts or questions? I know there's a couple of language questions, but I just want to make sure folks have a chance to say anything if they want to. Okay. What was the question?
Oh, the difference between gout, cow.
Oh yeah. Okay. So gout kuwaha and gout kaudhit. So
Because they both sort of mean the time has come, right? But
yes. Well, yeah. I think kuwaha means for the time to come, and so there's a t suffix you could put on things. So you could say achun kuwaha. It's time for hunting. Kukit kuwaha. You mostly hear it for seasons. And you could say, Yesteyakundehin, Taukitideyakundehin. It's getting to be fall or spring. Yachkoha is the noun form for a season. It means it just repeatedly arrives. And then Iitkuaha, the time has come to you, it's your turn. And then Kaudehit is like for the clock hands to hit. So that verb is more specifically like the hands of the clock have struck that sort of moment. And so
that's more like maybe you're referring to it's a precise time or something.
Yeah,
You're like we planned to start at 6. It's 6 or something,
Yeah, maybe it is a little bit more specific.
So like kuaha is like instance versus like a specific time, or
I think so. I think kaudehit refers to the clock. So maybe it's a clock influence thing. Satuk.
In English, you can say metaphorically, like the hour has struck.
Yes, it's like
time to do something. Even if like there's no clock, you're not talking about a specific hour, but like it is time. Like some landmark thing has happened.
Yeah, like the quote that comes to mind is Guchdakashu Yeawokha. Gout koude hit, ʼatángi, ʼatudli.átk. Gout koude hit, ʼatángi, ʼatudli. What's that?
The time has come for us to work on our language.
The time has come for us to save our language. Yes. Okay. S'eek, your hand is up. You're on mute.
Sorry. In the MOOC, there was a nice phrase about adoption, meaning bringing people into a clan. And it was meaning leading people by the hand.
ʼatudli.átk.
Do you know that phrase?
Yeah, I think ʼatudli.átk. It's like, so ʼatudli.átk is to lead someone by the hand. It's to carry the hand that is a stick-like object, and then ʼatut is inside of it. So that's usually the phrase used to like bringing someone into a clan. And then there's, so ʼatudli.átk, it's a zero conjugation, zero classifier, it has j on it. So you could say ʼatudli.átk. Sometimes there's a plus D in there, maybe. I think I heard it without that. I do think I have it written down. Maybe it's under adopt.átk. So that's the verb as I have learned it, ʼatudli.átk. And so once it's zero, like ideally, so looking up here, you see the green stuff, that means it's got to be there before the verb in order for it to be this particular verb. Object, j, subject, zero classifier, ton. It's a closed root, there's nothing special marked about it. And then it's a zero motion verb, it's transitive, and it's closed. So like this, the zero and the motion is really important. This is just an extra reminder, but you can see that there's the O and the S already there, and it's closed, which is also marked in the theme. But ideally, like you wouldn't need any of this stuff underneath it, right? Like you wouldn't need it to be conjugated for you because you are becoming the conjugator. Conjugator higursati. But yeah, that's a great one. Then there's another one. So like this is to adopt. Anybody know the other word? The other verb to talk about adopting? It's a slightly different adoption. So there's, I think, there's, let's see. Yes, there is that way. The way that I had heard it, I guess is using this one. Maybe it's still under there. Let me see. There. So this verb root has to do with making or making something into or using something for. And so, and this says it's plus D, but it actually isn't. Okay, I need to fix that. So here you see like it's another, again, so there's an object, there's a subject, that should be just an L classifier. There is this preverb, yatr, to make them into a child, which is interesting, right? So this kind of adoption would be like, I am going to take this child in to be my own child. So it's a little bit different. It's not, it's an individual sort of thing or a family sort of thing, where the other one is a clan thing. And so And it would, what's interesting, so this verb, this tulayéix verb, it does mean, to, like on its own, it's to make something. So you could say, hit tulayéix, build a house, right? And then, but you'll see the sort of, where this one comes from is this one right here, which means to make something into something or to use it as something. So teich chatach ʼatudli.átk. They used a rope for a whip, or they made a rope into a whip. Kakein atch tulayéix. We are using the yarn. Keshdekat report tulayéix. They all haven't reported yet. Yeah, you did start. You hear a lot of speakers say this. Start tulayéix, which is just interesting because it is totally borrowing. Like you could say, Qoneya kuhi, Qoneya daye jagachtune. But I think a lot of speakers like that start tulayéix just because it's a fun cross-language moment. Other language questions you folks have?
I was wondering how you talk about like still doing something. Like, are you still walking there? Are you still like, I don't know. Are you still feeling well or something?
Yeah, the pattern seems to be the verb and then Yesu at the end,
Oh, okay.
right? So you'd say ate yanikut Yesu, or ate ateke yanikut Yesu. Are you still walking there?
Right.
And so the model for that is Tlingitane Qayiq Wushjin Tilshat Yesu. On the world, we're still holding each other's hands. So if Yesu comes after the verb, it seems to be doing like a still verbing. But if you say chag Yesu before the verb, it is just now verb.
Right. Okay.
Seems to be the pattern. Ha, yuchaya tank Yesuka. Is he still talking? Jeez. Other things, or did you learn some new things this week you want to share with us? Do you guys know ʼatángi? ʼatángi?
I have a guess.
Okay.
Motherly.
No,
Ah,
ʼatángi, not ʼatángi. ʼatángi. That's a good guess. There's other little cameras doing it. If you look when it switches, it's ʼatángi. Ja ha'at hakaayehas ausni. Tachunachste qahatati. Aqo'a ya hatsahu ha'atlins ahu. Akshakita awati ʼatángi. They put our atu on us, and I'm very grateful. But when they put this hat on, they put it on crooked. It's askew. ʼatángi. Okay. You can. Why didn't I bring my fortune cookies? Katchatse wakak. We kashakade nashe dutini klinikzikat. Jan kwayata chiu. Clear. Wait, no. I always forget. Do you folks remember this week, Yas Sandechak. Next week, iti Sandechak. The other week, Kliya Sandechak. What about last week? Didn't we crack that code somewhere? I'll look at some of the nerds. Didn't someone ask somebody?
Maybe it was last week.
Like last week? Maybe last week. Kliya. Maybe Yeshua he Sandechak. I don't know. I'll check my notes. But last week we were working on this, so it's a little translation exercise for our Mondays. We got pretty far. We're going to bring some other, I had an idea talking to Yvonne today. We're going to bring in a whole bunch of word of the week sentences. So I started this word of the week idea probably a dozen years ago. I was like, what if we picked 52 words, and then those were the words of the week, and then every day we had a different sentence. And so I think I asked 6 different speakers maybe to just come up with a sentence for every word. And it was really cool. And there's some of them I wish I did. S'eek, I think she did a couple, but I didn't like formally get the. I like to record them because especially I was listening to myself speak Tlingit at the beginning of a video today, and it was recorded 12 years ago. I was a little frustrated with my own speaking. But like I really wanted to record it because I thought even if I wrote it down, I would probably make a bunch of mistakes. And so we've been going through some of those things because KTOO has wonderfully put those things on the air. But I think there's going to be 52 sentences, and I don't know what the math is, but there's 4 times 52 left. Whatever that math is to 258. Is that off?
208.
Huh?
208.
208. There we go. I added 50 in there somewhere. So we're going to use those as well, but let's just recap. Anybody remember how to say I'm looking for a hammer? Gotta do it fast. I gave you a minute last week.
Pakshkakuchashi.
Takshkakuchashi. Okay. Takshkakuchashi. So what if I was looking for a nail? Can anybody say it without looking at anything? Anybody know the word for a nail?
Nailkakuchashi.
There's that cross languaging. Tuhayi. I'm looking for a picture of my mother.
Achla Yahai Ga Kuchashi.
Yeah, I'm looking for the door.
Wooch, hot.
Katin, kahat.
So we got to put the qa right on the noun.
Ga. I guess that would be I see the door, not I'm looking for the door.
Yeah, khat. The verb will stay the same. We're just going to substitute out some nouns to see how we're doing with this. I'm looking for your dog.
Kuchashi, AK.
Itoshi ga kuchashi.
Ikeraga Kuhashi.
Kekli. Kegli ga.
Kuchashi. Oh, does glass stay on all of it?
Yes. So that's part of this verb is the qa. So taqsh is a hammer, which is maybe a new noun for us. What if I said, if I said ʼatudli.átk kuchashi. No. What if I said, sorry,
Something to eat, yeah?
ʼatudli.átk kuchashi. I'm looking for something I can eat. We'll get to those potentials. Okay. Can somebody read this for me?
Wechuklit.
Yeah. How do we translate that?
I threw away the paper.
I'm getting rid of the paper book
Or
thing.
this paper.
That paper I'm abandoning.
I threw away that paper. Yes. We have a TV in this room, and sometimes it does this little move thing, like just a little tiny bit goes. Okay. Did you sew those moccasins?
Oh, never mind. I forgot moccasins.
Oh, okay. Starts with at. Next word is khashti. Next word is teeth. Maybe a get.
ʻatqalli teach ikasne get.
That would be to weave it. Did you weave those moccasins? Whoa.
ʻatángi.
Wait, atrishiti sake yaka. Yaka. You sewed it. Did you sew those gloves? Ooh, we're gonna have cold hands. The word for glove? Well, I guess let's,
وأصدقائي جايك.
what if we said mittens? And the word I'm looking for is sag. Sag. T-S high tone A-A X apostrophe. Did you?
Okay, yaka.
Yes. Wait, sag. Again. Yaka. Did you sew those hat and gloves?
ʻatsaku or ʻatsaku. ʻatsaku.
Wait, sag. Kasag. Yaka. Okay. My kids get those mixed up all the time. Sake. Sake ejiwu. Yeah, I have a hat. Like, sag. Sag. Sag kas. Sag kasag. Teach away. Oh, can somebody read this?
Ik awe hastu kahagu has ajinak. Yeah, yek.
Sheesh. Teach away. Hastukahagu hasajanakhe hinich. What was our translation for that?
There's like dog salmon spawn in this river or like release their eggs in this river.
Yeah, away. Yeah, away. Now we're all caught up. Now we'll go back to our process of giving you some actual time to work on it. Get your resources ready. And what I'll do is I'll reveal the clue. I'll pause the recording. I'll give you 30 seconds or slightly more if you need it. And then we'll make sure everybody's ready to go. The sentence we are translating from English to Tlingit. When are we going to eat? Okay, let's hear some suggestions.
Wat gin thou ʼatudli.átk?
Okay.
What can sa at gachtu ha?
Ungao sawe atka.
Okay. Any other variations? I would suggest. Oh, wait, let me check the chat. Okay.
At gachtu.
Any questions?
Why do you have to have that at in front, or is that?
Yes, or it's what time are we going to eat it?
Right, okay.
So both of them work, but the context, like, when will we finally eat my birthday cake? Gwatkinsa gachtucha ach kudzati wait ach kayagi linux sakni. Kayagi is a person's birthday. It was in the verb dictionary. You could say kudzati yagi. You could also say iyagi. They're all manufacturing. because we didn't keep track of that stuff a long time ago. So, gachtucha. Here's a bonus round. Your hint is the second verb, which will remain at gachtucha, will actually become a subordinate form with a suffix. It won't be long until we eat something. I think there's two ways to say it. It won't be long until we eat something. And if you said ʼatudli.átk, what time are we going to eat? They're very similar concepts. Any guesses on it won't be long?
Would tas unasa at gachtuchai.
That's what I would say. So kech is it won't be long. And it also can mean almost, and it also could mean it's not far. The store is not far. So if you just throw a noun on there, that noun is not far. If you use a perfective verb, I almost got it. I almost succeeded. It won't be long until I succeed. Very cool. And is the negative of nashe, which was in our fortune cookie. So the fortune cookie returns. So it's the negative, and there's probably like 4 or 5 different ways to say it, including kenshe, which is wild to me.
I'm looking at the verb dictionary and I see yacht for be a long time.
So that could
Is that
be
a different?
that would be a little bit more. It's the same thing. So you could say keshik koyat atkartuchai. It won't be a long time until we eat. They would both accomplish the same thing. Okay? Wanachsea at ishuk.
Why are you smiling?
Oh, say it again.
Why are you smiling?
Okay. Any other variations?
Could also be, what are you smiling at? Or laughing
I would probably say this one's laughing. And I would say this one is, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? So I would have to change 2 things in order to get to, what are you laughing at? What 2 things would I have to change here?
Well, you change wanach to da.
Dasa. It's one other thing. It's very similar to the last verb that we looked at.
Drop off the
At. Dasa ishuk. What you laughing at? I guess you gotta say it kind of tough. I'm just kidding. And then I do think adding the thematic prefix ya gets you to smiling. There's another way to say smiling, but it's like you're smiling with like you're hiding something, I guess. It's a kawanitz. But this was, so you'd say, wanachsaya at yishuk. So you get ye as opposed to e.
How do you differentiate like yishuk, like you all are laughing, versus yishuk, you are smiling?
So you'd have ya yishuk, and then you have yishuk.
Oh,
So you'd have ya, you'd still have the ya, then you have ya ye.
Oh, I see.
Right, as opposed to ye here. it gets a little tricky because it is an imperfective. So the imperfectives, there's nothing there as far as the conjugation stuff, because you'd have yi shuk for you putting it in the past as opposed to yi.
Could you write those so we can see them,
I
please?
suppose I could. Okay. So dasa yi shuk. Whoops. What are you laughing? Oh. Thanks, computer. And then I don't know. This is that, and that is that. I don't. Well, I guess I could. Let me. If I did that and that.
So then what are you all laughing at?
What are okay? Dasa.
Yeah, that's what I was specifically asking. What are y'all laughing at, and how is that different from what are you singular smiling at?
Oh, okay.
Ah,
It's gonna get a little crowded. So. That's awkward.
When I saw in the original sentence, there was the ut in and I'm perpetually mixing up the, eating it and just eating. And so it's sort of like when you see the ut, it means it's already in there. Can you help?
It seems like English, you have to add a step to make it like you have to add the it there. Whereas Tlingit, the it is already there, so you have to remove it. So I do think that's something that does create a little bit of confusion. But for a verb like this, like atshuk, they're laughing. Ashuk, they're laughing at them or it. So this one does get an object, and the object is the thing that's being laughed at. So technically you're saying they're laughing at something.
Okay.
They're eating.
so ut is a thing, and if it's not on there, then it's a person.
Yes. So
Huh.
if
It could have been, what are you laughing at? Or why are you laughing at it?
well, for example, if I did this, how does that change?
Why are you laughing at them?
It.
Yes, at them or it.
Them, it.
So it'd be very
At a human thing.
Yeah, I would assume that it would be them, right?
Okay.
But again, like that's something we would need the context for it to exist. But these are like really good fine points with this particular verb.
So, like, what I say at issue would be, why are you laughing at something undefined?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The question's focused on now the action.
But that ut issue comes up with like eating
Yeah.
and cooking and all sorts of other verbs and continually.
There is a list, yeah, there's a set of them that takes ut to sort of, it locks up that object pronoun, says just at something, right? And so like if you tell someone, atcha, eat something. But if you say, cha, eat it. Eat the thing I made for you. Yeah. Okay, good questions. Where does the rabbit dwell in the winter? A question we all ask ourselves regularly. What about that qach? Guksaya qach kuwa utak. Guksa qach kutsati taukin. Any other variations?
Tak nach busukach fu.
Got talk gal, basically.
Talk gal.
Gal.
Qach.
Oh, gal.
Oh, talk gal. What else?
Whoopsie. tauk yin gusu gach yeyati.
Okay.
I had gook da yeati we gach ta kanach.
Okay. Sheesh. I would probably say tauk oe guksaku uwe kach. And there's not always just one way to say these things. I do like the kua'u verb for dwelling.
Is kua'u like? I thought it was like a permanent dwelling, or is it like permanent for like that period, or is it like?
Yeah, but it's like, I think for people, well, it means like you kind of you own that space, I think is what it really means. Or you use that space. But yeah, and it does have to do usually like, if you're saying kua'u for an animal, like I think yati could work in this case, but I think it's sort of like, where is that rabbit? Whereas this is like, where does it live?
Mm.
So when it comes to animals, we end up with like the nest, the lair, the den, like something about like where they make their home.
Is it the same u verb and as in like atu and it says like the spatial in front of it?
Well, you have like u to buy, and I think this is the u to use. So there's one that's like ye aya u, like idna ati ye na u, right? So put your clothes on. So but the verb itself means to use or to put it somewhere. And so you'd use this one for putting a hat on, putting a shirt on. And there's other verbs that you can use for it too, like T can pop in there. But you could also say guksa. Oh, I think it's not conjugation. Guksa yi'u. Wait, tak. Where did you put that hammer? Tak trying to tie it back, right? I like these exercises because it shows us a lot of things. Like you can say tauk tunach, you could say tauk kanach, you could just say tauk yin. Yin I hear more like taught yin specifically, but I think you could use it for other things.
So I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. So like, how would you use this u verb root to distinguish if you're talking about a group of people that lived, like what would you have to change it to talk about, oh, like our people used to have like fish camp versus like their permanent like clan house residency? Where do you talk about like, oh, they are living there at the fish camp, using it just for them?
Yeah. So this is like, I would say this one and yati, yati are, like you could say, I'm in Skagway, but I live in, Juneau. And so that's where I would sort of use this one. But then you have these verbs for moving. So the three verbs for moving, let's consult the dictionary. So I think they're all under move. And one of the things, like, we have some verbs where in Tlingit, there's like a whole bunch of verbs under that one sort of like verb root. But then for some of these things, you look something up in English, and there's a whole bunch of things in here. Like when you get into move, there's like move your hand, move the body. But then you have like to move, like to pack up and move your stuff. So you end up with a bunch of different things. So these are for objects to move. These are for, although this, well, let's come back to that. I don't think that's. So these are like moving as and they are like motion. They're all motion things. But what I'm looking for, we got a whole bunch. This is one of those verbs where you look it up and then you got like a million things. So we're going to move past all of this stuff and we're going to get down to here. So these are 3 migration verbs. So what we're talking about there is migrating. And even if you say, we go here for the summer, we come back. Or like nowadays, I go to Mexico in the wintertime, or I go to Hawaii in the wintertime. I go to Arizona and they winter there. So that verb is this. So it's a D plus L classifier. It has a subject only, and the verb root is su. And it means to move a plural group of stick-like objects. And I think it's because you used to take the sides off of the clan house and you'd go take them out and you build your fish camp with it. So like a lot of times, long time ago, some of the clan houses didn't even have walls like in the summer, or like parts of the walls are taken off. But so this means we're moving and we'll be back. We go here, then we come back here. So this is the one people use for like going to a fish camp, going to this camp, then coming back to the permanent house. The second one is an L classifier, gods, with an object pronoun only. And you can see here it's g conjugation, as is this one. And so they're both g conjugation. This one, the verb root is to a house post. So we're not just taking the sides, we're taking the whole, and this means we don't know where we're going, but we're getting out of here. That's what this one really talks about. And this is the one I used to talk a lot about migrations. So you'd say like they came here and then they weren't, it's like they weren't sure where they were going to go and then they settled on coming here. They just knew they were traveling, migrating. And then you have this one, which is a zero conjugation, S classifier, object only, and this means I'm never coming back. And this is the one that is used to talk, and it's not always a bad thing. It talks about clans that split off. I think that's how I heard it. Although I put a ya in there. Okay. But this is like, it could be a clan, it could be a big fight. Like there was this big fight. But also, this is the one where you used to talk about a separation. Because once we said, like, we were tashkoidi, and when we became kachadi and tlukachadi, we weren't tashkoidi anymore. It's a good question. Other questions? It's good work.
Why, for this one, why is the verb in the perfective?
It's not. It's a state verb in the imperfective.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
a plus I. It just because you could say kuwa'u, and that it would go long. So it's one of those ones that is very tricky to tell the difference.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but this, and then the stem would go long and low.
Okay.
Can you use kutsati instead of uau?
So, but kudzati would be like if you say guksa kudzati waqach, I would say where do the rabbits exist? And then I would think of a place that didn't have rabbits. Like, are there rabbits on Prince of Wales? I don't think so. No. Now my rabbit knowledge is exposed. But for the kudzati, it would be like, are they there? And so the kudzati verb is a great one to think about as well, because you say kudzati in the perfective, they were born. So guksa kudzati, I'm like, oh man, like all of them? I don't know, down south, they migrated with the Dene people 20,000 years ago. But there's this other, I've heard this other thing too. So like to go back to our first verb, there was a story we were working on, and that'd say something like has to seek to iqa has kuwashi keshkusti yuqqa. So if I were to write that out, let's do that little flickering thing again.
There are now rabbits on Prince of Wales because someone in 2010 released their domestic rabbits.
Oh, really? Oh, so there are. Okay.
There are now, yeah.
Okay. That's probably good for the martins. Are there martins there? Okay. No. Has to seek iqa has kuwashi kash kuste yuk kuwa. Has to seek iqa has kuwashi kash kuste yuk kuwa. How are we going to translate that?
They were looking for, who was it, a sister?
They were looking for, they all were looking for them all. S'eek. Or S'eek.
Daughters?
It's a single. Ket kusti yuk ko'a.
However, they didn't exist.
Yeah, and so the way you would translate that is, but she wasn't there. And so we went from the English to the Tlingit. It was a sentence similar to this. And that's what Kaayistaan came up with. So that kustik could also just mean it's not there. Wow. Okay. Can someone read this?
ʼatudli.átk wooch talayéix.
Sheesh. ʼatudli.átk wooch talayéix. Okay, I might have heard it. Do you want to say it again? Is that Juan saying?
ʼatudli.átk wooch talayéix.
Okay. Kananik. Klekaklinach.
2 kittens I saw under the house.
Yeah. And then Mehuchiayata. Oh, any questions about that one? Is the store far? I might walk there. Might need a potential. I don't know. Wasayidlak. Wasayidlak. Wasayituch. Nashe gehwe hundakahiti. Kwash adekwaguti. Hundakihitige. Kwashwe dekwaan. Other variations?
Nafeke hundakahiti, ade kwagudi.
Okay. Nasheke hundakihiti, I like that. Gwash ade. Anyone else? Any other guesses before I do the reveal?
Kukwa.
Kwagud.
Kwagud. Gwash kwagud. You could say, I might go there. Okay, good. To get to the potential mode, I would say Nasheke wehundakahiti gwash aten kwagud. So this is a potential verb. This is one where the conjugator might need some adjustment because there's lots of pieces. Like a future, you could use a future, and you'll have maybe I will go there later, right? Gwash atek kwagud. But you could also say gwash aten kwagud. I might go there. And if you could learn how to build a potential, which is what this is what it looks like in its base form, then you can build like kesh ade aden kwagudiya. I can't go there, which is a very useful and very long verb mode. Anya nachtla.
Is the where is the N coming from? Is it the same thing as like ʼatudli.átk? Or
Yes, because of you have day, the motion should be na. So, and if the motion's na, then it's got, that's why you'd say nachtuat exactly, right? So if you say, let's go, well, let's see, I need a zero conjugation. Let's go out into the open. So you'd say, let's go that way. Oh, wait, let me do this thing again. Somebody one time told me that they felt like, they said, I had a teacher in college who would write things on the board with their right hand and erase them with their left hand. And I was like, cool. And they said, that's not cool. That's so mean. I was like, okay, I'll take better notes. Okay, so you could say, ade nachtuat, right? Because the day triggers, it pushes the motion verb into na. Same with dach. Adach nachtu, oops. Okay, talking and typing at the same time, okay? So now we have these, which is, put this up here, put this up here. So how do I translate the top one?
Let's go there.
I walked.
The bottom one?
Let's leave there.
Okay, so these are both na conjugation. So I could say, we could say gagi or we could say doc. Let's just say doc, maybe it's more familiar. So now that I've said doc, the situation here is we are in the shadows, we're in the woods, and we're going to go out into the open. So now this is no longer na. So I will chop that out. I say na goes away. That reveals the uncontracted form of qa. So we can see here, na clearly causes the contraction. And in the contraction, the vowel gets pulled. This turns into an underlined X. Dak qatu'at. Let's, well, I guess those are both the same thing. Let's go out into the open.
The na doesn't trigger it. The dak and the ade, right?
Yes. So
Day and dak.
the suffix or the preverb. So the preverb, the motion preverb, determines what the conjugation prefix of the motion will be. And day and dach and nach are always na. They always are. Then there's a few of them that are zeros. Like I was trying to think of how to say like, we will, okay, let's dance into the room. So like, let's do an entrance dance. You would say, neich ʼatudli.átk, because it's got built onto the verb, and that will also cause the qa to go to ʼatudli.átk. Let's dance in.
How would it work for like K got would it be like K watu art? Like let's go up there.
So then K, okay, so that's a good question. Okay. So now we've got, these are hortatives, right? I know I'm getting crowded. Let's see. We'll go up. We'll go up. So then if you wanted to say, let's go up there, so now you're going to have to get ga, and that will also trigger that.
Oh.
But then you get ʼatudli.átk, which sounds an awful lot like a future. But the future would say ʼatudli.átk, as opposed to ʼatudli.átk.
So in the future, when it goes like kukwa, is that just because it has the in there? The
So yeah, so when you go into futures, let me make sure in the chat. No, this is uncontracted. So you could say like qatucha, let's eat it, or atqatucha, let's eat. But so if it's a zero conjugation, then you won't have contraction on the qa. And now coming into like, how does this affect like the future? So like, let me get rid of some of this stuff. So when you get to the future, so this is na qa to 0, right? So that's what you're getting in a hortative, because you have to have the conjugation prefix of the verb. You have to have qa mode. That's how you get a hortative. If we're going to go future, then we're going to say ga to qa 0. Well, I guess also to. So now we have these three things, and then that's what's going to get you gachtu. But you can see, so the patterns are similar, but as far as why they are there, these three, they just say, I'm in all futures. I don't care about anything else. We're all three here for the future every single time. Achadi. Oh, Chiwu, did you have a thought or a question?
Oh, sorry, I just muted myself. Can I just pull you back to that potential for a sec?
Yeah.
So that adin kwagut, is that just the attributive with the suffixes cut off it?
Well, this is the potential. So the potential is the base form. Like,
Yeah.
and it translates to like I could, right? So if I said adin kwagut, I can go there.
Yeah.
But it's
But I'm just asking, click adin kwagudi, like it's the same thing, but without the e and the ye on the end, eh? Is that
yes, exactly? And so we
okay?
usually see this with that suffix on there, because that can't mode is the most common way to see these ones, right?
Good.
And so absolutely. But like if we can build a potential, then we can put the suffix on the end in the yeah. So tesh ade aden kwagudiye. I can't go there. Or you could say tesh aden kwatayiye. I can't sleep. Or you'd say nakwata. I might sleep. Wow, okay. Or I could sleep. Guashnakwata. Maybe I'll sleep. Okay, wow, that's getting. Sorry, these get a little tricky. We'll go back to the easier ones after this one. So we did a MOOC thing on Wednesday. Any thoughts or questions from that? So then, sort of thinking of this, getting into the practice of, I think we ran through this. Did we do this last semester? So for example, how would I say, let's just do a quick recap of this. I want to recap this and get up to some of the ones where we're predicting how to put the perfective together. So our goal here is to master the perfective. Yeah, so on Wednesday we'll spend half of our time doing these verb drills and half of our time doing ʼatudli.átk. So you should be, how far did we get? To the 1 minute mark so far? 1:30? Could you get to 1:30? Could you get to 2? Let's say 1:30. 1 minute and 30 seconds into, is that how far we got? Na ʼatudli.átk. Yisikuke dafasa. Adu khaydakhsa wish kashnik.
We got 48 seconds in.
Okay. Okay, so we'll pick up ʼatudli.átk on Wednesday. We'll also go through this. So the idea with this, I think we did it last semester, it was probably quite a while ago. So we are going to start with a very straightforward verb. And this is straightforward because it's a state verb. And so that means it's going to be plus I in the imperfective. So we're only going to do an imperfective. We're not going to add any conjugation prefixes in there. We're going to have object, subject, the verb root. Well, the classifier and the verb root. So this will end with s'eek every time. That's what makes it a straightforward place to start. You could find, the study guide is in the verb section of S'eek, ʼatángi, under the section called object-subject combinations. So there's two things we're going to do with this big, it's called the conjugation party. And we're going to be partying all semester long. And so the first part is just practicing changing the object and the subject. The second part is starting to master the perfective verb. Like I want you to be able to put, if I just showed you any verb theme, and if I said any person combination, you should be able to do it. Even if you've never seen that verb. So if the verb is object, ka, subject, S classifier, ku, to hammer something, zero conjugation. And I say, how would you say, I hammered it? And you should be able to say, kaayistaan. We hammered it, ʼatudli.átk. You hammered it, kaayistaan. Y'all hammered it, Kaayistaan. Somebody hammered it, ʼatudli.átk. They hammered it, ʼatángi. So I want you folks to get to that point where you could do that on command. But I think the key to doing it is running through a drill like this and continuing to talk about pattern building. So the way this works in the next 3 minutes, can somebody tell me how to say, I love them, singular them?
Chasachan.
Chasachan. So you see the part, so there it is, chasachan. And in the middle, you'll see there's the object, there's the subject, there's the classifier, there's the verb root. There's a lot of hand coloring that went into this thing, I'll let you know. And because if you go back and watch a video of me teaching this like 6 years ago, it's all, there's no color. So we brought color into this. I love them all. Someone else.
Chasachan.
Chasachan, yeah, away. So there's the hus, it's green. I love you. Yechsechan. Right, so there we see the cha is the one that will contract. I cannot, si will not for Northern Tlingit. There might be a situation where it can for Southern Tlingit can drop the I in a classifier. It's wild to me. Okay. I love y'all.
Yichsechan.
Yichsechan. Right? So yi, it's outside. Technically, it could be green. I don't know what to do there. But it's an object pronoun.
Maybe you could do a nice teal to kind of reflect that it's both blue and green.
I got to go get some nechin te. And that'll cause a big storm. That'll make that Tlingit bluish green. That northwest coast bluish green. It's not just ours. I love people. Chuchsachan. And I love something.
Atchasachan.
Atchasachan. So this part should go kind of fast. It's a good review for us. And if you look down, what we are changing is the object pronoun only. We chasachan, 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 all the way through. Okay. Yeah, so there's the old peacock with no color. This one's got all the color. Then we are going to go in, like once we sort of reviewed these and we've gone through all these combinations, which we've done before, but I think it'll be a good review, that will get us to understanding the perfective mode. Everything you need to know is represented like on these charts, this one. So this is the positive perfective. It's incredibly predictable. You have to have a plus I classifier. You have to have the perfective marker. And then the stem variation for all the opens. The zeros, open, unfading, doesn't matter. 0, long and high. Everything else, long and low. That's a constant. Closed, short and high. Everything else, long and low. But the high stems have no low version. So they override that, but it still follows the same pattern. That is how you build a perfective every single time. It is very predictable. If you add a thematic prefix, it does change things, and we will look at exactly how. But my goal is by the time we're done with these exercises, it'll take us a little while, but we're going to move through it on a regular pace. I should be able to show you any verb theme, and you should be able to put it into the perfective for any object-subject combination. Bang! Just like that. That's my prediction. ʼatudli.átk, what's up?
So is it true that there are no stems in any conjugation that have or any mode that has a short or low?
There is no short low stem, but sometimes if you have that big kesh ade something, or if you put ye after it, it will sometimes cause it to flatten. So it'd say hakawahagi, and that would be written all low. So I would say no, there is no short high stem, or there is no short low stem, but a short high stem can be flattened sometimes. Good
You
question.
need an asterisk on that, no.
Yes. It's like this every time except when it's not. But it's rare, like it's an exception.
You probably taught me this before, but what's the H communicating with the fading?
That means in a repetitive and habitual, it'll stay low.
Okay.
It's the only thing that will change. Everything else will all be the same. Good question. In the future, I think these will just say high. I don't think we need to say glottal and ejective anymore. I just think we say open, fading, close, high. That's my suggestion to the Tlingit committee. The Committee on Tlingit Excellence. Okay. Anything else before we go?
I sent you an email last week as I'm grappling with verb stems. I'm just reminding you of that.
Thank you. I'll take a look at it tonight.
Sheesh.
Great stuff, folks. These are big steps. Dísi, yes.
Yeah, again.
Sheesh.